Good morning, everyone. In today's video, we're going to troubleshoot a computer that my client has made for his son. It's some older hardware. It's an i5-66K with GTX1060 3GB, unfortunately. The 3GB version is a cut-down version of the 6, and not just in RAM, but also in shader cores within the GPU, making it perform like 10-15% slower. But today 3GB, not great, but overall it's a nice PC once we got it working. Basically, my client, being an engineer, he couldn't stop himself from sticking a multimeter into a Molex and accidentally shorted two prongs. Computer never booted or powered since. So let's take a look. I've already tested this computer, and when I try to power it on, nothing happens no matter what. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the PSU out and give it a quick test. Normally I would use a PSU tester. Unfortunately, I kind of lost mine, so I'll test it with a motherboard. Normally I would never recommend testing a power supply that may be damaged with any kind of good motherboard, but I have a lot of spare older parts, so I figured I'll give it a try. And in this case, I see that the motherboard lights up right away. At first, when I saw these lights, I was a bit worried, but that is how this motherboard looks. All right, so let's flick this on and jump the little power pin and see what happens. And I just noticed I'm an idiot and I didn't even put any RAM inside. Alright, so let's try this again, and this time with a stick of RAM. So let's see how it goes.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now, just to be sure, I took out the motherboard from the case, just in case. And just in case, tabarnak. And let's give it a try just to make sure that this motherboard truly is dead. And plugging it in all perfectly as we have it, there's just no power. It doesn't boot, doesn't even try to start. So screw it. Alright, so now we're gonna simply reinstall the PSU back in the original case after having emptied it from the old motherboard. Luckily for myself and my client, I already had a 6th gen Intel motherboard just laying collecting dust with a Celeron CPU. So that's what I tested with, that I saw work perfectly. So let's swap all the parts. So here comes in the RAM, and for the NVMe, I just realized I was missing the tiny little screw holder. So here it is, put in, screw that in, and let's keep going. Now with the NVMe secured, let's clean all that dry thermal paste off that good old CPU that's in the motherboard. I believe it was a Celeron, so crap. And let's then take out that CPU and put in our i5-6600K. And of course, clean that dirty little bastard too. Now that our CPU is nice and clean, let's just put a nice little ball of thermal paste right in the middle. And here I am dropping in this replacement motherboard. And I really hated this water cooling block. But I also realized that I'm an idiot again, and I forgot the little back plate. And of course, lucky for me, after searching through my stuff, given that this is an old motherboard collecting dust, I managed to find this backplate and install it. Personally, I'm not a fan of how the radiator is put in and all the fans, especially the front panel one. But I left them as is for now. I just wanted to make sure to test this motherboard with the CPU and the RAM to make sure that I get a signal on the screen before I move forward and do a good job at cable management. So now that I'm done, here is the before picture. My client did some decent cable management. The only thing I wasn't a fan of is the placement of the radiator and the front fan that was all the way at the bottom. And here are the after pictures. It's, I would say it's good, but not great, not terrible. Could be a little better with some sleeved cables, but this is a low-cost PC to begin with. I'm just happy with the placement of the fans for the air cooling. Even though the case is a bit restrictive, it's fine on this PC. Let's see how CS2 runs on the high preset. Alright, so let's see how CS goes. Here we are in the game and start our little frame rate benchmark. So GPU temps to 63 degrees. Let's see if they get any higher as time goes on. GPU usage at 95% and CPU usage is pegged at 100%, which is a quad core. Pretty decent quad, but in the end, 4 cores, 4 threads. We are hovering around 90 FPS, so anywhere between 60 and 90 FPS, which is very playable. And 1% lows of 18%. The average remains within the 80s, which is quite respectable. The frame time graph could be a little better. Now let's try some Doom with the Ultra preset. And let's see how it goes. Alright, Doom, another game which I haven't played enough, even though it's an amazing game. So our GPU temps are never really climbing above 70, which is good. GPU usage is at 95%. GPU VRAM is at 2.8 gigs on a 3 gig card. This is where today, new games, you really need at least 6 gigs on your GPU, which would be beneficial. Alright, CPU temps, 53 degrees, which is excellent. The water cooler is doing an excellent job, even though it's a small radiator. CPU usage is at 73%, and the clock is at 4.4 on our i5-66K, which back in the day was an excellent quad-core CPU. Our frame rate is hovering anywhere between 55 to 80 FPS with an average FPS of 77. The 1% lows is at 43. All in all, Doom is an incredibly well optimized game. Like here we have the game on Ultra or high preset and it just looks good. We don't feel any stutters or anything. But can it run Crysis? Or in this case, Cyberpunk, I mean. Here we have Cyberpunk on the lowest of lows of settings that I can put. Actually, I don't think it's the lowest of lows, but it's as low as the low preset will be with some AMD FSR. Let's see how it runs. I'm a little optimistic given how well Doom was running. But with a 3 gig GPU, this should be maybe interesting. Oh god. And here we have the GPU and the CPU pegged at 100 to be expected, but our wonderful frame rate of 12 FPS looks like crap. Everything is slower. People are screaming at you and slower. Yes, this is not very playable at all. Oh well, hey, at least it runs. Not very well. Let's see if Far Cry 5 can actually run on this old video card. So here we have some custom graphics settings, normal textures, normal geometry and environment. A bit of anti-aliasing, but mostly keeping everything on low because of our limited VRAM. So let's see how playable this is. So from my start I was stuck in that prison and people were talking. Took me a little bit to get out. So here we are going for a tiny little drive. And CPU temps are always really solid at 65. The CPU usage is at 100% and the GPU usage is at 100%. We still have frame rates in the 40s, the average frame rate of around 47 and the 1% low is 23. It actually feels good. The frame time graph is decent and it doesn't feel bad at all. It's playable. It doesn't look great, but it's playable. Let's try some Fortnite. And this time I'm giving it a shot on medium settings. And let's see how it goes. Oh god, this is atrocious. It's a stuttering mess. CPU usage at 100. GPU usage is not 100, well, mostly. But it stutters like hell. I would call that unplayable. Look at this. It's disgusting. Let's see if it gets better. Alright, so match started. Jumping out. Absolutely disgusting. Frame rates, they claim to be in the 40s and early 50s, but no, these stutters are really, really difficult to deal with. Let's see if I can manage to find and murder someone with these horrible stutters, and hey, people already found me. Alright, let's drive our animated Countach. Can I run him over? No, I suck at driving. Let's get out and see if we can actually shoot the bastard. Oh god. Oh god, this is bad. Atrocious. Alright, let's try this again, but on low. In my previous playthrough on medium, before I even tried to kill someone, and not long after I cut the video, the game crashed. And ever since the game crashed, I can't get the MSI Afterburner graphs to show up anymore. So here, show FPS, and now I'm on the low preset. Let's see if it's any better. Well, I'll be damned. It's quite a bit better. My FPS counter is stuck on 60 FPS, which is good. When you have a low-end video card, you will want to set a solid frame rate. It's better than your frame rate jumping between 85 and 40, because if it's stable at 60, you'll feel less stutters. So let's see how it goes from here. This isn't too bad and doesn't look terrible. Alright, let's get some crap, and I believe someone is coming up. And oh my god, the stutters. Kill him, kill him. And I got him. And here comes someone else. And down I go. And there you have it. The good old i5-6600K with nice little NVMe, 16 gigs of RAM, and this adorable, shitty little video card. Runs nice and great. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have an awesome time.